Welcome to the Brothers in Prayer podcast. Now, with your hosts Drew Hammond, Xander Johnson, and Dylan Burkett.
Hello and welcome back to the Brothers in Prayer podcast. My name is Drew Hammond.
I'm Xander Johnson.
And I'm Lily Pingleton.
And this is a very, very exciting episode because we have the first ever female on the Brothers in Prayer podcast. What? No way. It's awesome. So over the, really starting about last year, my brother and the head leader of Angels in Prayer, who is the prayer club over at St. Joe's Academy, they kind of teamed up together and said, you know what, we have a bunch of guys and a bunch of girls that all want to help each other grow in their faith, you know? And so they collaborated last year, and so we decided to continue that trend in 2020 and into the 2021 school year. And so I can't wait. And so just recently, we had Lily Pingleton lead all the Brothers in Prayer guys and the Angels in Prayer girls on the Zoom call, and she did amazing. And so she's here just to kind of give us her insight on what she talked about. So Lily, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you like to do in your free time?
Oh, well, I really like to do theater in my free time. I'm not much of a musical, theater person, but I love acting. You know, that's just kind of what I like to do. I'm a really big music fan. Mm-hmm. I think Xander and I we're big music fans. So, yeah, just, chilling out. I love spending time with my family. My family and I are so close. So,
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you're obviously kind of one of the head leaders at Angels in Prayer this year. Why did you kind of get involved in the club in the first place?
That's a really good question. Faith has always been such an important thing to me. Mm-hmm. And over the years, sometimes I grow away from it. Yep. So I always kind of want to push myself to, step outside of the comfort zone. And so getting involved in campus ministry my freshman year was really tough because I wasn't even on the team. But still, keeping at it, working hard, I just really wanted to be somewhere. Be someone. So yeah, and just working closer to God, that's just been what's keeping me going all this
Absolutely.
time. Yeah.
No question. Well, Lily, go ahead and just kind of give us the rundown on what you talked about last Wednesday. Just kind of go through it, and I'm excited to hear this. So let's see what you got.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's so crazy that it's already Lent. I feel like just a couple days ago, we were just out of Advent. We were just out of Christmas. But I think it's the snow outside that's kind of throwing us all off. But yeah, I think Lent is probably my favorite liturgical season of the year. Sometimes people put a negative connotation on it. It's kind of like a dark period of time. But a couple days ago, my friend was talking about how Lent's actually a season of hope. And sometimes we don't always think about that. We always think about, Lent's kind of a season of sacrifice. You start off the season with ashes on your head. That's not a happy way to open up a season. But for me personally, Lent is a time where I can work on my relationship with God. It's a time where you can just kind of focus in on what's really important. That's just knowing that God's with you. And I never really thought much of Lent before going into high school, at least, at my old school, St. Joe Manchester, they would just, tell us to draw something that we're giving up, and that was our Lenten promise. Sometimes they would throw in, a Stations of the Cross once a week, or, my dad and I would go eat at Fish Fries every Friday, but that was it. That was my idea of Lent. Until 8th grade, when the idea that, Jesus was scared and he was alone in the desert, that just really gnawed at me, and I couldn't get over it. And it was heartbreaking because we don't really, it's heartbreaking to think that, Jesus, our Savior, was scared and he was lonely. Personally, for me, I think sometimes I just think Jesus is just there to finish his mission. He's always let's go, I have to do this. But I never really think about how lonely he was. He was fighting off the devil in the desert, trying not to give into temptation, which is a really hard thing to do. And it's so sad to kind of think that way. But the most important thing to know about that is that he wasn't alone. He had God there. And he fought really hard, and he didn't give into temptation. And I feel like really we can relate to Jesus in our everyday lives. It's a scary world out there. It really is. We can be scared. We can be lonely. We're presented with choices every day, good or bad, right or wrong. But the important thing to remember is that God is with us. We're not alone in all of this, and we even have each other, even if it's from 6 feet apart, even if it's from behind a mask. We're all in this together, like that High School Musical quote, we're all in this together. But yeah, so that was kind of my talk, but it's just important to know that no matter what, we're with God. God's with us, and we're with each other. And it's important to work on our relationship with God and work on our relationship with others, especially through this Lenten season. Through the 3 pillars, prayer, fasting, almsgiving, whatever it is, you're trying to challenge yourself to choose the right thing. God wants us to choose to be resurrection people. He doesn't want us to be the sinners that continue to put Jesus on that cross every day. He wants us to choose life. He wants us to choose love. He wants us to choose equality. And so, I've been really trying to challenge myself and challenge others to kind of think more deeply about Lent and to kind of be in relationship with God more, notice him more in others and things and just whatever's revolving around us at all times.
Absolutely.
And it's sometimes hard to do that, you know?
No question.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think the one thing that one of the girls actually brought up during the presentation you were giving on Wednesday was she always has these like GOG moments or like glimpses of God moments, right? And that really stuck out to me because it's like all the things that you do on a daily basis, right? You see a sunset, you see someone do something nice for a friend, right? All those small things that normally you would just kind of like blink over and like not think twice about it, but instead you actively choose to say, you know what? I see God in that person or in that moment or in that thing, right? And that choice to notice God is what really, really is important, you know? And so I think that was one point that you said, and I loved that. I thought it was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So something I really, really also liked about your talk was that you mentioned the human side of Jesus, which is something that we don't always think about when we think of Jesus. We have to remember that he was both human and divine. And so that connection and relation that we can have to him as being human, he had fear, right? He was uncertain of some things. And so really in this time of Lent, we can kind of reflect on that and like see what he went through like in the desert and then apply that to like our own lives to know that like we aren't alone. Like it's not just the thing we have. Like Jesus himself went through that as well. So it was really, really cool when you talked about that because it really made me think about just the human aspect of Jesus.
Yeah, and it's not like, Jesus was set to do a mission. He wasn't like, let's go, let's go, let's go. He begged for mercy. He was scared. And I think sometimes people expect us to be like, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's do this, let's get it done. But honestly, life is so hard that there's going to be troubles in the way, and it's okay to not feel great all the time. And it's okay to feel scared. But the important thing to know is that we have each other and we have God.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And so obviously Lent is a time of reflection, right? It's a time where you kind of focus on yourself and your relationship with God. And so Lily, because you are a guest on the podcast, I want to ask you, what advice do you have to somebody who may be struggling in their faith right now? What do you think someone can really do this Lenten season to kind of take that next step and get out of the comfort zone and really grow closer to God?
That's a really good question. Sometimes it's hard to get motivated to start something. But personally, I've had struggles in my faith life a lot, and something that's helped me is just going to Mass. Just listening, kind of being more attentive to things, and also finding people who can help you be accountability partners, or just challenging yourself to do something new. Find something new that you might like to do.
Yeah.
Recently, I've just, I've been kind of in a period of time where just nothing happens in my faith life, just nothing's escalating, nothing. But something that's really been helping me is just listening to at least one worship song every single day to kind of start off my day. There's this one song by Matt Maher. He's my favorite artist of all time, and it's "Hold Us Together."
Yes.
And that's just such a good reminder to just go out and challenge yourself to love others and see the Christ in others. So yeah.
Definitely. I love that kind of you talked about we will be in these like times where it's just like nothing's happening, but it's the fact that we're making the effort, right? And that's one of the struggles with Lent is a lot of people think like it's really hard, we're not getting anywhere, but just the effort that we're putting forth, it shows that like we're trying. Like I know Mass can be really, really boring for a lot of people, but like even if you don't fully understand what's happening and you're not really getting it, like eventually that comes. But the fact that you're making the effort and you're saying like, God, I'm gonna devote this hour to you. I'm gonna do what you want. Like I don't really understand this, but I'm gonna do it because I know you want me to, and I know that in the end I will grow closer to you. Like I think that's really just the big thing to really look at is that just committing to Jesus and doing what He would want, even if we're not really sure of how that works or like the hows and the whys. It's the fact that we're putting the effort to do so.
Yep.
So I really like that.
Yeah, totally.
So this is one more thing before I wrap up here, because this is kind of a Lent talk. I just want to make one point that I read this in a book. I thought it was amazing, right? Lent, obviously, you give something up, or you're fasting from something during these 40-day periods of time, right? Or at least Catholics, that's what we believe. Don't give up chocolate this Lent. That's my advice for you, right? Because think about this, right? If you the point of fasting is to kind of have something every day that you like really strive and desire for, right? So let's say for me, if I'm allergic to like chocolate, right, and I give up chocolate for Lent, well, obviously, I wasn't really craving chocolate in the first place, right? So don't give up chocolate for Lent, right? Give up something that you honestly feel like is becoming a burden in your life, or something you honestly feel like is holding you back from being the best version of yourself, right?
Yeah, I really like that. Personally, I think of fasting as not necessarily giving something up for your own sake, but giving something up for the sake of gaining something better in replace of what you gave up.
Yeah.
So, like, instead of doing video games for an hour, you can go outside and take a walk. Well, not now, but it's freezing. Or you could spend some time with your family, or just journal, or listen to music. Do something that, brings you closer to God. And it doesn't have to be something that you give up. It could be something extra that you do. So, like, for Lent, personally, I am trying to give out 3 compliments a day and just trying to be more aware of everyone around me. I think I resort to my phone so much that I just don't really notice that, like, what's happening around me. So I've been trying to challenge myself to look up and just smile at people. I can't really do that behind the mask, but, give a little wave, or just, say, hey, I love your hair, or whatever. Just give out a little compliment, make someone's day.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So the whole point of like Lent is to like go to like our own desert place where we like detach from the things that will distract us, so that we can become better people. And so I know you mentioned what you were doing for Lent, so I want to ask you, Drew. What are you gonna do for Lent this year? Yeah.
Put me on the spot here. Okay, all right.
I can go first if you want.
No, I got it. So
all right.
This is cliche, all right? I'm giving up soda. Basic, right? But I'm also going to do a Bible study with 2 of my close friends.
That's awesome.
But I think one thing I was really looking into that I really want to kind of maybe take action on is a social media detox, right?
Oh,
and it's
that's
amazing.
hard.
It's so hard. But you know what they say?
Challenging.
It's amazing, right? Our brains, especially teenage brains with TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, so many social media platforms, they're trained now to, if there's a moment of silence, we, for some reason, have that need and desire to fulfill that silence with empty noise, right? That white noise. And they say that over time, that can be unhealthy, right? And so I think my goal is to maybe do like a 30 or 40-day social media detox and just kind of click the reset button on my brain. It's like, it's terrible too. I even say that, but when I say I'm going to take action and do that, the first thing I think about is like my Snapchat streaks, right?
Yeah.
Super cliche, right? Like, does that mean anything? No, it's just a number by somebody's name. But for some reason, that's holding me back from not using Snapchat for 40 days, right? And so that's one thing I think is amazing. So I think I'll try and take action on that this Lent season.
Me personally for Lent, kind of, once again, a little cliche thing. No sweets, no nothing like that for Lent. But something I'm really going to do extra is I'm going to say the Rosary every Friday. And the sorrowful mysteries of the Rosary to think about the suffering of Jesus. But then something else is I have this little litany of humility I found as I was cleaning my room out a couple days ago or something like that. And I put it on my nightstand, and like every morning when I wake up, I'm going to try to say this litany of humility because I noticed that I really want to become more of like a humble person and like kind of just be there, but then not talk about like success or not talk about things I'm good at, but just kind of just become more humble, because like I've seen that when we're more humble, we're more, I guess, open to what God might have to say. Because we're not really focusing as much on ourselves. We're focusing more on Him and listening for His call and His word and what He wants us to do in our lives. So I think that's what I'm gonna do for Lent.
Yeah, that's great.
So
It's amazing, guys.
Yeah.
So that's it. Notice God in the small things every day and give up something meaningful, not just chocolate. That's the moral of the story. Okay, so
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us. This has been the Brothers in Prayer podcast
we
featuring
need to thank Lily
Pinkleton.
and St. Joe's. 'Cause
Yeah.
this is definitely gonna happen more. 'Cause
Yeah,
this is
for sure.
Awesome, I love it.
Thank you guys so much for
Yeah,
having me.
Absolutely, we love it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, St. John Baptist de La Salle.
Pray for us.
Live Jesus in our hearts.
Forever.
Thanks for listening to the Brothers in Prayer podcast. Our producer is Peter Coco. Our creative director is Xander Johnson. And our media relations director is Drew Hammett. Tune in every Thursday for more.